I'm Bob Gilmer, Coordinator Communications Media from the North Penn School District. And in a moment, we'll be introducing our amazing panel to talk about Kindergarten Information Night for the class of 2036. So I'm watching our room. It looks like we've leveled out pretty quickly here. So that's great. Everybody's on time. Everybody's jumping in at 6 o'clock. We appreciate it. And we might as well get started. We got a lot of information to give you tonight. If everyone looks down at the bottom of their interface in Zoom, there's a little Q&A tab there. That's where you'll put any questions you have for the panel that we'll try to get to as many as we can at the end of this session. Keep in mind, we got a lot of information, so I'd wait till we get through the presentation before you start adding questions, because most likely we're going to answer one of those questions in the course of this presentation. So that being said, it's 6:02. I'd like to start by introducing Dr. Michael McKenna, who is our Director of Elementary Education, who will get us kicked off tonight and provide some introductions. Mike? Take it away.
All right, thanks, Bob. As Bob mentioned, I'm Mike McKenna, Director of Elementary Education here in North Penn. We have an amazing team today that's going to share some information about kindergarten tonight. So we have Dr. Pamela Hart, who is our Director of Curriculum and Equity for North Penn. We have our Early Learning Coordinator, Marisa Neeson, who's on the call tonight. And then we're also joined by 3 kindergarten teachers, Kristen Muth from York Avenue, Carolyn Leak from Culp Elementary, and Krista Trable from Hatfield Elementary. We will kind of jump around and share and discuss the different slides as they come across the presentation. So you will get the chance to hear from all of us throughout the presentation. I also want to thank all of you for joining us for this evening's session. This is kind of that first step in regards to learning more about your child's experience in kindergarten. I'm going to start off by talking and just sharing about our kindergarten vision here in the North Penn School District. And I'm actually going to read it just so you can hear it. The North Penn School District will implement a full-day kindergarten program in the district for all students. Our program will provide a strong foundation in literacy, mathematics, and social and emotional learning. Students will be afforded increased opportunities to engage in all content areas such as art, music, physical education, library, social studies, and science. We believe all students can and will learn in a caring, nurturing environment so that they are educated to their fullest potential. Again, that's our vision for kindergarten here in the North Penn School District. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hart, who's going to talk about the importance of kindergarten.
Thank you so much, Mike. Kindergarten is an incredibly important step in the educational experience of your children. And so we want to do everything that we can to make it an amazing experience. So we recognize that each one of your children have had a wide range of experiences leading into kindergarten. That's both personal experience as well as educational. And our commitment is to meet your child right where they are. And so we have created a developmentally appropriate kindergarten program to be able to do just that. While many people think of the transition into kindergarten through an academic lens, and we are very committed to providing a very rigorous program, and you're going to hear a lot of details about that throughout this presentation. We also recognize that kindergarten is an opportunity to really establish relationships, to problem solve, and to really engage in a lot of purposeful play to enhance the learning experience. Our goal is that by the end of kindergarten, each of the children have very strong relationships, can navigate the school community with ease, and are really on their way to be very strong readers, writers, and mathematicians. The foundation that we provide in kindergarten is really designed to ensure that all of our children are able to read proficiently by grade 3. And throughout our presentation, you're going to hear ways and strategies in which we've designed to be able to do that.
So with the implementation of our full-day kindergarten program in 2019, our kindergartners do join us for the full 390 minutes. As the parents of kindergartners, you're probably wondering, what does 390 instructional minutes look like with a kindergartner? Rest assured that it is a completely developmentally appropriate program. This just shows you the breakdown of our minutes. All kindergartners begin with hands-on exploration stations that you're going to learn a little bit more about later on in the presentation. They'll have a 30-minute lunch. They'll have time to engage in ELA, mathematics, our content areas. They'll have the opportunity to have a snack, which complements the time of their lunch. and they'll have the opportunity to do a little bit of a closing circle before dismissal. They are with us for a full day, but again, rest assured, it's a completely developmentally appropriate day. Krista is going to share a little bit more with you about what a typical day could potentially look like.
So while the last slide showed the breakdown of instructional minutes, this slide right here does show you what a typical day might look like in a kindergarten classroom. And if I could just draw your attention to the top of the slide, it does say for the first half of the year. Every school will have a different schedule. So again, this is just a typical what it could look like, but your child's teacher would be able to tell you more specifically the breakdown of your child's day once the school year begins. Here, what you might notice in comparison to the last slide is that maybe some of the minutes don't quite add up to what you previously saw. The importance here is that in the first half of the school year, we are paying careful attention to the fact that we're building students' learning stamina. And so those ELA minutes that we have overall are going to be broken down into smaller pieces, smaller chunks of time, and also include a lot of transition time, a lot of learning how to learn. Some things will always remain the same. Lunch will always be 30 minutes. There will always be 2 20-minute recesses. They'll always have a 45-minute special, but we will be including more of the movement and brain breaks for students as they're learning how to learn. You'll see in this next slide that this schedule will change slightly as the year goes on.
So for the second half of the year, the big change that you'll notice is in our brain break quiet time. We know that our children in kindergarten develop rapidly. They change a great deal as the year progresses, and we like to respond to that change. When they start kindergarten, they need a lot more time to relax because their brains are working so hard through their math and ELA time block that they're going to get tired. So we built in a longer break time for them to rest their brains and prepare for their learning. The second half of the year, their learning stamina has increased dramatically. And in response to that, we are lowering that rest time, break time down for them a few minutes. And those minutes now go back into ELA. They now go back into math because the children are now ready to do more of that learning. So our schedule changes slightly throughout the year in response to the needs of the students in front of us.
So learning stamina is something you've heard a little bit about. And as Carolyn mentioned, something that changes rapidly, in particular in a kindergartner. So our schedule and really our entire program is designed to meet the learning stamina needs of our kindergarten students. What they're asked to do at the beginning of the year looks very different than what they're asked to do in the middle of the year, which looks different than what they're asked to do at the end. Please know that we are building your child's learning stamina all throughout the year, and we are being responsive to those developmental needs. To go hand in hand with that, you notice that the day begins with exploration stations. This is a kickoff to our day that we are incredibly proud of as a kindergarten team. Exploration stations allow your children to show up in the classroom and really have a soft start to their day. Our amazing kindergarten team very thoughtfully puts out many different types of manipulatives that allow your children to use their fine motor skills, allow your children to work collaboratively with their peers in problem-solving situations. They are teacher-suggested activities, but it's important to note there's not necessarily a right way or a wrong way to use the materials. It really allows your child to be creative in their thinking and really sort of engage as if they were using engineering type skills. It's an excellent opportunity for social interaction and sharing, so really emphasizing those social emotional skills. Just some ideas of what your children might see in their classroom during exploration stations: Legos, scissors, Play-Doh, different types of blocks, beads, macaroni, anything that really allows them to use those fine motor skills in a problem-solving collaborative type of fashion. And as Dr. Hart mentioned, we really do have an emphasis on our kindergartners' social emotional learning. They will engage in second step lessons weekly. Some of those lessons highlight empathy, fair play, regulating emotion, understanding emotion. Our kindergarten teachers have been trained in the responsive classroom approach, and all of our kindergarten classrooms do utilize that approach. What you'll likely hear the most about with that is the morning meeting. Right after your children have the opportunity to engage in their exploration stations, they all gather together on the carpet for a 4-part morning meeting. Every single child in the classroom is greeted, having the opportunity to hear their name from their peers with a greeting chosen by the teacher. They get to read a message handwritten from their classroom teacher, telling them all about their day. They'll get to participate in a share. It could be something as simple as sharing their favorite color, or something as elaborate as talking about their hopes and dreams. And they'll have the opportunity to engage in a group activity, something that really has them work together with the people in their classroom with an end goal in mind. Responsive classroom is how we establish our classroom expectations, where we explicitly teach children what's expected in a kindergarten classroom and give them plenty of opportunity to practice those expectations. It allows our amazing teaching team to energize responsively as students need it. It allows your students to have some academic choice, meeting their learning needs best. And we begin our day with an amazing morning meeting. We end it with a closing circle, kind of wrapping up the day, making sure everyone's leaving on a positive note.
Our English language arts curriculum is aligned to the science of reading. Research tells us that children learn to read best with explicit, systematic, and sequential instruction in the foundational skills. One of the foundational skills is phonological and phonemic awareness. We teach these skills daily using the Haggerty curriculum. The lessons are approximately 10 to 12 minutes long. Students practice isolating, blending, segmenting, and substituting parts of words and letter sounds through oral and auditory activities. Hand motions are also used during our Haggerty lessons. Another significant foundational skill is phonics. Our phonics resource is Foundations by Wilson. During phonics lessons, explicit instructional routines are used to teach students letter knowledge and word study. Students explicitly learn each letter of the alphabet. We always begin with lowercase letters, and they learn the letter formation as well. Students will learn how to tap out letter sounds and read and make words. By the end of kindergarten, students are reading sentences and writing sentences. Foundations lessons include multimodal activities, and we use specific materials such as Foundations whiteboards and Foundations magnetic letter tile boards, which the students are able to manipulate. We are also very excited this year to be implementing a new comprehension and knowledge resource called Wit and Wisdom by Great Minds. Students will gain comprehension skills, knowledge, and vocabulary through authentic and diverse texts. They will be engaged in lessons daily that include reading, speaking, and activities, as well as writing. Our Wit and Wisdom curriculum this year will include 3 modules. Modules are otherwise known as units. Our kindergarten modules this year will be the 5 Senses, Once Upon a Farm, and America Now and Then. Although Wit and Wisdom is not a phonics program, it is aligned with Foundations. We have begun to use a wonderful resource from Wit and Wisdom called Geodes. Geodes are information-rich books which allow our kindergarten students to practice their reading skills. These books start out as wordless books, we move into sound search books, and then onto decodable books. They are very engaging with interesting topics that the children really enjoy. Examples of some of these topics are Pele the soccer player, the Galapagos Islands, Ella Robinson. They learn about the first car that drove across the United States. And they also love learning about how the first popsicle was accidentally invented by an 11-year-old boy.
Math is our other core content area. Our students are engaged for about 60 minutes a day. They're doing hands-on activities in groups, in small groups, and as even a whole group. We try to incorporate lots of games and fun ways to practice these skills. In kindergarten, we're focusing on building a very strong number sense in our students. We don't want them just to be able to count or just to know the names of the numbers, but we want them to truly understand what those numbers mean. By building that strong number sense, it supports the students as they advance through the curriculum in coming years. Our number sense has children breaking numbers apart and looking at different combinations that can form that number, seeing how that number looks in a tens frame, and being able to build that number out of manipulatives. This number sense will support your child throughout their entire educational journey. We also spend time working on addition, subtraction, comparing numbers. We get into shapes, patterns, and measurement as well. We do this using the iReady math program, which has 3 main types of lessons in it. First, we have a try it lesson where students are actually presented a problem and asked to work through it. They work with peers as they try to solve the problem and then share what they did with the class. This allows the teacher to respond to what the child has shown that they know or what they might need support with. We then move into a discuss it lesson, and this is when we look at exactly what the children did. Uh-oh.
Not sure if she's frozen there or if somebody else wants to pick up. Are we ready for the next slide?
I'll just finish the very end of
Yep.
for her. I'm not sure what
Okay.
happened, but I think what she was doing was she was getting to the children have the opportunity to discuss it collaboratively in conversations. And then the end result is where children have the opportunity to make connections. So they move systematically from try it to discuss it to connect it, where they really begin to problem solve and learn and hear about different ways that students do math. One important thing to mention that I don't think Mrs. Leak had the opportunity to mention was a lot of sentence stems or sentence starters that we do use in our math program. What's nice is that supports both math learning, but also then our ELA block as well.
So about 30 minutes of our day is allotted for the various content areas, science and social studies, and our social and emotional curriculum known as Second Step. You'll see here where it says integrated throughout. There may be times where a big chunk of time would be dedicated to a science lesson or social studies. 1 day a week, our Second Step lesson would be about a 20 or to 30 minute lesson. But most of the time, most often, you'll find a lot of carryover from the bigger lessons into various parts of our day. For example, there may be a lesson where we take students outside to learn and investigate trees. But then the very next day, they may be putting together tree puzzles during exploration stations and doing science that way. So they might not even actually recognize that's a science lesson. They just might think that they're having fun. Kindergarten teachers are experts at slipping learning rather into the fun portions of our day. And that will happen with all of these content areas.
Okay, let's try that again. I don't know what happened there. My screen went completely black, but it's back now. So every day our students will go to a different special. We have 4 different specials: art, library, music, and physical education. These are an integral part of our day. As a student who might be struggling with math, might really enjoy art, and that's the time of day they look forward to. So these are really important classes for our students. North Penn has an amazing arts program, so starting early is very important. We have a 4-day cycle to go to our specials, and I can tell you as a mom of an upcoming 2nd grader, this is the part that can get tricky. So we have numbered days, day 1, 2, 3, and 4, and your child will have a special on each of those numbered days. We can't give you that information yet because it will be different for each and every classroom. Not even in the same school will it be the same. Each classroom is unique. So your classroom's teacher will communicate that information with you. I know I personally send out communication each Friday telling my families about the upcoming specials for the week coming. My daughter's teacher this year sent it out on Monday and told us what was coming up. There's usually communication from the school itself, which will tell you the number days, as well as communication available on the website itself to tell you what number it is. So the important part is to know which special you have on which number day. And that's important because on art day, you probably don't want to wear your most fancy brand new dress because we could get messy. On library day, you want to make sure you have your books with you. And when we have physical education, we want to be sure that we have shoes and other attire that are safe for us to move around the gym in. So just knowing what day your child has their special is going to be important.
My colleagues have shared a really wonderful overview of the experiences that each of your children will have when they enter kindergarten. And I want to take just a moment to share with you that one of the components of their instructional experience will be using Chromebooks. And so just to kind of give an overview of kind of the why, part of our goal is to be able to develop children and their digital literacy. And we want to begin that in really authentic and meaningful ways in kindergarten. As you can see, the vast majority of their day are really engaged in hands-on experiences and engage with text and manipulatives, but we do allocate a little bit of time to be able to develop those skills so they're able to navigate Chromebooks. All students will be provided a school district Chromebook. The distribution information should have been sent to you, should have received it, but the pickup begins on July 31st and runs for about a week and a half. You do not need an appointment to pick up the Chromebooks, but you should have all that information as well. And some of the log-on information and family and student how to like navigate it will be included in that as well. If you have any questions, you can see on the bottom of the slide, NP Family Tech at npen.org. We have tech staff that will be able to answer any questions or concerns that you have as well. So that's an integral part of our program. We also make sure that students can access it in case we ever have days that we need to have virtual experiences. We want to make sure that we can leverage our Chromebooks to make sure that our kindergarten children have really productive days as well. And you'll hear much more about that from your child's kindergarten teacher.
So play is often looked at as if it's a break from learning. In kindergarten in the North Penn School District, we believe very much that play is the way our young children learn. Our entire kindergarten team has been professionally developed on the topic of purposeful play, and they are absolutely spectacular at providing those intentionally planned play opportunities. Those play opportunities for your students do target very clear learning objectives, so they help your children master the standards that we know they need to be successful. Our teachers take exorbitant amounts of time to very thoughtfully plan and organize for these hands-on, developmentally appropriate learning experiences. It's an opportunity for your students to demonstrate academic rigor while also meeting their developmental needs. So they're thinking like an engineer. They're problem solving, they're collaborating in a way that allows for that learning to move to the permanent part of their brain. It's very important to remember that play is in fact the way our young children do work. We always love to share this quote. I think it's amazing to look at this. Scientists have determined that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain, unless it is done with play, in which case it takes between 10 and 20 repetitions. We have a very play-based program, which allows for excellent learning, meeting our children's developmental needs.
Your child will need a backpack to carry to school every day. One of the things that we do recommend is that the backpack be big enough to hold their Chromebook, their library book, and their folder. We also ask that your child is able to, please make sure that your child is able to open and close the backpack independently. A feature that we do highly recommend to look for when you're searching for a backpack is that the backpack has a pouch on the side, or sometimes they have two, to transport a water bottle. It's not a good idea to transport the water bottle inside the backpack because something always ends up getting ruined, but we always recommend that the children transport the water bottles on the outside. It's also a good idea, if you haven't done this already, to designate a spot in your home where your child will put their backpack after school every day so they know where it is and your mornings run smoothly the next day going to school.
So your kindergartner will have the opportunity to enjoy both a lunch and snack while spending their day with us. Lunch is a 30-minute designated time throughout the day. Please note that we are not able to share the exact time that your child will have lunch because it does vary building to building. Kindergartners do have a designated lunchtime that is usually separate from the other grade levels. So they will have 30 minutes in that cafeteria to enjoy lunch. We do make our master schedule so that the snack complements lunchtime. So if lunch is a little bit on the earlier side, you'll find snack is in the afternoon. Ways that you can help your child be successful during lunch and snack while they're enjoying their kindergarten experience. Think about things that you can pack for them that allow them to be as independent as possible. So when packing your lunch, think about the containers that you're packing lunch in. Is it something that they'll be able to open on their own? Certainly, we do have help available if they need it, but kindergartners love to be independent. It really helps build their confidence. So it's a nice thing to be aware of. It's also a nice opportunity to begin to practice with your child. What does it look like eating lunch in a designated time frame? So maybe consider packing a lunch and having them sit at the table and practice what that will look like, eating a lunch while they're opening containers on their own. One helpful suggestion is when packing a snack for your child, designate it as a snack. So when your child opens up their lunchbox, they can clearly see that their snack has been designated for them so that they're not eating their sandwich during snack time. Also consider when you're packing that children do not have the opportunity to heat anything up. So you want to make sure you're not sending in any of those cute microwavable containers. They'll need to be used for lunch at home.
If you have wandered into a Walmart or a Target lately, you know that the stores are getting ready for back to school. And you may be wondering, what supplies does my kindergartner need? The kindergarten team at each of our buildings has compiled a list of items, and this list will vary from building to building. So be sure to go to the North Penn website, npenn.org, click the select your child's school and look for the list of supplies that the kindergarten teachers are asking for.
So kindergarten is a time where students begin to need independence. They're developing those independent skills, and they're kind of in an environment that's a little bit different. In preschool settings, there's typically, 10 to 12 children with 2 teachers, and it's a lot different in the kindergarten classroom. It's more of an elementary school vibe. So it's important for children to be having those independent skills in place. It's important that they are able to fully use the restroom on their own, including being able to button their pants, making sure they're able to clean themselves, wash their hands, get their pants up and down. That can be a challenge at times. So those are really important skills to be working on with your student now, so that when they get to school, they can have that independence. There are always extenuating circumstances where a child may need more support using the restroom, and that will of course be addressed with that child's teacher. But for the most part, it is expected that children will be fully independent when using the restroom. Jackets are another big thing in kindergarten. Zipping a jacket is actually quite tricky for many students. And we're not thinking a lot about it right now because, it's going to be 90 degrees later this week. But very shortly after your child arrives at school, jackets are going to come back in. And your child needs to work on zipping their coat independently. We, of course, will help them if they need that. It is a difficult skill, but it's something to start working on now with your child. Making sure that they can get clothing off and on independently. Accidents happen in kindergarten. We spill snack drinks and we go down wet slides and we slide into home base while playing out at recess. And those times children might need to change their clothing. So making sure that they're able to do that is great. Also that they're washing their hands properly. Even at lunch, like Mrs. Neeston was talking about, being able to open their containers themselves. You could even set them up with a little school lunch right now and let them practice coming to school and eating lunch so they can practice opening those containers. Independence is going to be very important in kindergarten.
So one recommendation from our absolutely spectacular kindergarten team to make certain that your child has the best experience possible, please consider leaving a weather-appropriate change of clothing, possibly in a gallon Ziploc baggie, labeled with your child's name right in their backpack, just in case of spilled juice or a wet slide that Mrs. Leek mentioned. Anything could happen at school, and it is very important to us that your child is most comfortable and able to learn. So please do consider leaving a change of clothing right in that backpack. That will allow them, if necessary, to change right into their own clothing.
All right, across all of our 13 elementary schools, we have various personnel who are here to support our kindergarten students. Of course, each building has a principal. We also have what's called a school climate coordinator. Sometimes you might hear them referred to as SCCs. These individuals, some buildings have a full-time SCC, some have a part-time SCC based on really the size of the building. But these individuals really support the culture and climate of the building. They support student behavior. They support those particular areas like the cafeteria, sometimes at recess. They can also support across all settings, including supporting students with bus behavior or even in the hallways or classrooms as well. Of course, we have nurses and guidance counselors at all of our 13 buildings. Every elementary school has 2 reading specialists who are there to support students in their academic progress in the area of reading and writing. As we've mentioned in a previous slide, we have 4 specials at every building. We have an art teacher, a library teacher, a music teacher, and a physical education teacher. We have our custodians both during the day and at night who are there to take care of our buildings. All of our 13 buildings have 2 administrative assistants in our offices. I'm sure you'll get to know those individuals as you start coming or calling the building on a regular basis. One is a principal secretary, the other is a building secretary, and they have different roles in the building. And then all of our 13 elementary schools also have 3 individuals who are called lunch monitors who support students in the cafeteria area. So I know there's some comments about helping students with opening packages or drinks and things like that. Yes, it's great if they can do that independently. There may be times when they can't, and we do have individuals who are in the cafeteria to support, because that is the time when our kindergarten teachers get to eat their own lunch, right? So they have that lunch time for themselves. And that's why we have our lunch monitors in the cafeteria to support our students while they eat lunch. Some of our students come to kindergarten in the need of special education, and our buildings will develop an individualized education plan for those particular students. In that plan, really the main point of contact for students who are in need of special education are our special education teachers. We call them case managers. They are there to support and work with students who have IEPs. Are also, I would say, 2 other important point of contacts are the building principal, who's very involved in all the things that are going on in the building, and also all of our buildings in the elementary have a special education supervisor who is there to support the areas of special education programming. They don't have their own individual building. They work across various elementary schools, but they're there to support special education programming at the elementary level. We also have students who receive related services, including speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision, and hearing support in our buildings as well.
To continue with the theme of support services and opportunities for each of your children, I want to share just a couple of additional opportunities and services as well. We've mentioned already the guidance counselors in each of the schools and can provide a wide range of support for families. There's classroom lessons that are done, but also if your family is going through a particular transition, a death in the family, divorce, birth of a new child, the adoption of a new child. This guidance counselor can really provide some wonderful support for you and your child during that time of transition. For families and children for whom English is not their first language, we do have English language development support beginning in kindergarten as part of the registration process. Each one of you had an opportunity to let us know if there was another language other than English spoken in your home. We do, if the answer is yes, we do have an opportunity to screen children to see if in fact they're eligible for some additional support around their language development, and you would get additional information regarding that as well. If you work or have a schedule that you would need for your child to come to school early or stay a little bit later, we do have extended school care in each of our elementary schools, and there's definitely a fair amount of information on our website regarding that. So if that's something that you're interested in, we really do encourage you just to explore those resources and to register as soon as you can. We also are really delighted. I think earlier one of my colleagues mentioned the really strong arts program that we have in North Penn, and it starts in kindergarten. So if you have a child who's a lot of interest in music, we do have a Suzuki program that does begin in the second part of kindergarten. Information is sent home to all families, but I want to give a little bit of a preview now. So if that's something that you're interested in, you will look for that information in the second part of the year.
So with our transition to our full day program, we did revisit our homework policy in kindergarten, and you will take notice that there is no formal required homework in kindergarten. We believe that meeting the needs of our developmental needs of our children, spending their full day with us, it's not really necessary that they go home and have required homework. With that being said, we always encourage those natural learning opportunities. So all teachers will encourage reading to and with your children, and then spending the time with those organic learning opportunities. You know, taking a walk and counting the steps, making observations about birds and trees and leaves, that natural play-based learning for your children, but you will not see any formal required homework in kindergarten.
You will be updated on your child's progress in many ways throughout the year. One way that you will be updated is through the progress report. There is a progress report for each trimester. You can find them on Infinite Campus, and they come out there's one in December, March, and then again in June. Also in November, we hold family conferences, and it's highly encouraged that you communicate with your child's teacher to make sure that you attend their conference. And in March, there are conferences again, only if the teacher feels necessary or you feel necessary. But please know throughout the year that there is an open line of communication for you to be able to contact your teacher with any questions or concerns you may have regarding your child's progress.
There's nothing more important than providing a safe environment for all of our students, and of course our kindergarten students as well. And that's why we're on here today. We do a lot of work in North Penn to ensure that we provide safe schools for our students, our staff, and our families who are visiting our schools at times as well. Pennsylvania has very strict guidelines and in regards to Act 44, which has numerous requirements for us as a school district in regards to specific trainings that we need to do in regards to not only monthly fire drills and weather-related drills, but also other school safety drills in regards to other drills that we've done, and do our lockdown procedures, school evacuation drills. All of those fall under that lens of school safety and making sure that we are prepared for any event that could happen on our school sites. Also part of Act 44 are required trainings for all staff, not only our teachers and administration, but all staff means bus drivers, or our assistants, our lunch monitors, anyone who works in our schools. There's required training that we need to provide for all staff. Not only many of our admin help provide some of that training, but you'll see our main point of contact, Brandon Roan, who's our coordinator of emergency management and safe schools. He oversees this training across our entire school district. That is something, again, that is required, that when we utilize some of our professional development time and also throughout the entire year, we have various training that's in person, and also we provide training that's asynchronous and virtual to meet those requirements in regards to the training that is required as per Act 44. I also want to talk about two things. One of those is as far as visitors who are entering our buildings, we have a visitor management system in the front offices of all of our schools, where we have a check-in process where parents will need to provide their license at the first time that they visit a school, which again has a birth date and obviously a name. That is important to check in on whenever you are at the school. You cannot get past the office point without checking in and identifying yourself. And that once you do that, once you are in our system moving forward, sometimes for certain events like Olympic Day, American Education Week, also for kindergarten orientation, because we'll have a lot of parents coming in at the same time. We also will provide a Google form where you can RSVP and let us know you're coming ahead of time. So instead of coming when a lot of other families are coming to the building and having a long line to check in and have to scan your license and all of that, we can actually RSVP and have name badges and all that ready to go for certain events like that. Our offices have done a great job in coordinating events to ensure that we're identifying our visitors, but also have an efficient system for that moving forward. Also, one other piece that is important are clearances as required again through Pennsylvania law. Obviously, all of our staff who work with children in the North Penn School District are required to have updated clearances, but also for parents and guardians who are planning to be involved in school activities. Field trips is a big one. If you want to be able to go on a field trip with your child, you need to have active clearances, and that's a really important piece that is required to be working on during the school day with students. So we will be sending something out. Actually, Mr. Rohn will be sending something out to all families, not just kindergarten families, regarding clearances, because it's just a very important piece to not, if you want to do that ahead of time, how to do that. There's information actually already on our website if you wanted to start doing that, getting into that process already. But home and school events and being active in other things, it's important that parents and guardians do go through that clearance process. And we have a very particular process, and there is more information on the website. You can also reach out to myself or Brandon Rohn if you'd like more information regarding that.
So one more step to help you prepare your child for success in kindergarten. Once you have successfully completed the kindergarten registration process and you've received confirmation, you should be receiving email tips sent directly to the emails that you used. Those tips range from helping your child become more independent, potty training suggestions, reading books with your child, and just helping with that transition. If for any reason you are not receiving them, you will want to double check that the email you used for registration is correct so that you're receiving information.
All right, K-Day is coming up in August. We actually added a third session. We originally only had two, and we have a third session and a third date. Tuesday, August 8th, Wednesday, August 16th, and Thursday, August 17th. You'll see at both 8:30 and 10 o'clock. You do not need to register for any of these dates or times. You can just show up at North Penn High School for that particular time that you'd like to come with your child. It is a time where you can your child can ride a bus. They'll get on a bus, they'll board the bus at North Penn High School and go on a short bus drive around the community of North Penn High School, and also be able to learn more about bus safety and expectations regarding the bus. Also, please know that during those first couple weeks of school, all of our buildings will also review bus expectations. So what does it look like to be responsible, be respectful, and of course, be safe on our buses will be something that will be discussed very specifically with all of our students the first couple of weeks of school. And I know we talked about the idea of morning meeting. Many times our teachers spend some time, if we need to review some things like bus safety or expectations riding the bus, these are things that are reviewed periodically throughout the year, because they are that important in ensuring that our students are arriving to school and arriving home safely each day.
Part of making sure our students get home and to school safely each day are transportation tags. So these are color-coded tags that will be given to you at the orientation day. And on there has your child's name and their bus number. This makes it so that even though there will always be staff members getting them out to a bus, if there would be any question as to where they need to be, the bus tag has the information directly on it. This keeps all of our kindergarten students nice and safe and make sure everybody gets where they need to go. This is going to be tied on to the outside of your child's school bag. And should you lose it, please immediately reach out to your kindergarten teacher and they will get you a replacement.
All right, I know across the district, kindergarten through 12th grade, not just kindergarten, families are always wondering about teacher assignments. When will my child know what teacher they have? Typically, it's around that August 20th date or the week of August 20th. So we will be sending out a communication district-wide in regards to what that date is. We are consistent across all of the both elementary and secondary when we open up Infinite Campus, and Infinite Campus is our student information system where you're able to access not only teacher information, but also transportation information. So, in regards to bus and bus stops and all of that information is also located in Infinite Campus. So that, again, we'll be sending out a communication in regards to the exact date and time where Infinite Campus will be accessible for parents. Right now, there is no information on there because it's not available. That information is not available for parents at this point, as both schools and transportation are still working through as far as not only class placements and registration, but also transportation as well. Once those go out, if you have any questions in regards to classroom assignments, or you're unable to get an Infinite Campus, or is there any concerns there, you're always welcome to call your child's building, and they'll be able to provide that information to you as well. I know Canvas is listed on there. You're going to be hearing that word as well. That is our LMS, or our learning management system. It is a way that a tool that we use across K-12. It's really a platform, a learning platform that we use to support students. Highly used in the secondary level. All of our courses are run through Canvas. At the elementary level, we also use it to a certain degree, but that's another name that you will be hearing about as well. But Infinite Campus really is your go-to technology platform to access all that information that you need in regards to classroom assignments and transportation. Kindergarten orientation is coming up as well. We sent out a brief communication about that on Tuesday, August 29th. I will be sending out another communication soon, probably at the end of this week or early next week, with some more information about kindergarten orientation. We have some various time slots that will be assigned during or allocated during that day. It is the same across all of our 13 elementary schools. More information will be provided in regards to what that's going to look like for the day, kind of a plan when you arrive to the school, what it's going to look like. Some of the information you'll gather from the kindergarten teacher. Also, just part of that information, we put this on the previous communication, was that orientation will be for the child and up to 2 adults. So 2 adults is the max. You can come by yourself with one or two, and then of course your child would come as well to come to the school, meet the teacher, see their classroom as well, and also learn a plethora of information about kindergarten programming and what it's going to look like. And also, very important piece of that day will be, and one nice thing this year will be, it will be in a smaller group setting instead of all 20 or plus kids and their families and adults coming in at the same time. There will be smaller groups, so it will be a more kind of intimate environment for you as a family and your child to get to know the teacher, meet them for the first time, see the classroom. An important part of that, before you will leave for the day, we will check and confirm transportation. That is a very important thing that we will make sure. Again, we talked about school safety and transportation. We will check and confirm that that is accurate, and that when they come to school the next day for their first day of school, that we are all on the same page, teacher, parent, guardian, in regards to how they're getting to school and getting home from school each and every day. Being a former elementary principal, I was always so worried about my kindergarten students going home, especially that first day and first week of school. So that understanding transportation, making sure students are on parents, or everyone's on the same page with how they're getting home and how they're getting to school, is of utmost importance. And I think being in that smaller group setting as well, we can really make sure that we have all the right information. We're ready to go for the next day.
We recognize that you are your child's first and most important teacher. We very much appreciate your support and being involved as much as you can. So please take the opportunity to be involved, get to know your child's teacher. Your child's future really does depend on it.
Okay, great job, everybody. It's question time. So if you have a question, you can throw it here in the Q&A on the bottom of your screen. We'll keep in mind, if you have individual questions about your child and particular needs, those are items you'll want to contact the school directly for. So we're going over our general overview for all 13 elementary schools and 1,000 students and several thousand parents. So that's what we're trying to do here tonight. So if there are particular questions, make sure you reach out to your child's school and be able to answer those individual questions. Just off the top, there's a couple things. This presentation and the presentation from earlier today and this slide deck will be posted on the website tomorrow underneath kindergarten information under for families. So if you missed something or we went too quick, you can go back and review or look at the slide. This information will all be posted so you can check it out again tomorrow. Also, I know we had a few questions about Infinite Campus, student IDs, and getting the access code for Infinite Campus. Your student ID should have been sent to you with the registration email once you registered. If that was way back in February or if it was yesterday, when that happens, you should get your student ID there. There's not much you can do with it right now besides do the Chromebook insurance. That's the only thing you need a student ID for at this moment in time. And even if you still can't find it and you come to pick up your Chromebook, you can still take care of that at the Chromebook pickup, and you can do your insurance at that time and pay for it then if you'd like. As far as the access code, that's coming mid-August, a couple weeks from now. So everybody will be getting those at the same time. So stay on the lookout for that. Overall, that was the Infinite Campus pieces here. I was just kind of looking back. I know we answered a lot of questions throughout the course of this presentation. So if you look on the answered tab, you guys can see that there as well. The other piece is people were asking about transportation. When we release the student teacher schedules, the teacher assignments, that will be probably the week of the 21st. We don't have an exact date on that yet, but that will be coming out as well. That is also when we're going to be posting the bus, what bus assignment you have. The question I don't have, Dr. McKenna, was I don't know how people know if they're getting a bus or not, depending on how close they are to the school. I don't know what the standard guidelines are. And I know a lot of it also has to do with where you live next to highways and other pieces. It all kind of plays into that. But when would somebody find out if they're eligible for a bus or not?
Yeah, that will come out there. I actually would recommend, and I put this on the last chat for the last session. That's where I would say to reach out to our transportation department. If you go on the North Penn website, you should be able to find the phone number there. I would actually just call them or send them an email at this point if you're wondering about that, because as Mr. Gilmer mentioned, it's not only proximity, but it's access to sidewalks, and there's other very variables that I don't have the answer to, that really transportation would be able to look up your actual address and determine if you would be considered a bus rider or not. So I think reaching out to transportation directly, Bob, would be the best situation there.
Got it. And then also there's some questions here. How do I reach out to the home building? How do I find that? So if you go to our website, www.npenn.org, you'll look at the top. There's a select your school link up there. You click on that, find your building, and then you should be able to find the phone number there. If you're really confused and you don't even know what home building you might have, give us a call at the ESC. We'll route you somewhere to find it. So you can call the Educational Service Center main number if for some reason you don't know your home building at this point. Another piece on transportation, somebody had asked about tracking transportation tags, bus locations. So we don't track, there's not electronic tracking on the tags. We tag to your kid that sticks to them, it's stuck to them, their backpack, so we know where they're going. But we do have an app called Here Comes the Bus. And there'll be more information as we get closer to the school year and how you register for that, where you can actually track where your bus is and where your kid is on that bus in the morning and the afternoon when they come home on the bus. It's a really great thing, especially if you're wondering if it's one of those like snowy mornings and we're still in school and the bus might be a little delayed and you're wondering how soon will this bus be coming. You can track that bus right to the bus stop. It's a pretty neat piece of technology we started last year. There were also several questions about extended school care. I don't know how much we want to get into that, but I would encourage you to go to the North Penn website and go to the extended school care section under departments. And if you have questions for them, to give them a call. I know there's a couple about registering for it. There is a wait list currently for it. But if you have a question, if you're on the wait list of when you're going to find out, all those types of things, I would encourage you to reach out to the extended school care office. Dr. McKenna, I'm not sure if there's anything else with extended school care to add to that. But generally,
I would say, yeah, Bob, I would think they definitely reach out. I mean, the goal this year is that we don't have any wait lists for any of the buildings, but again, that's contingent on staffing, but that is a goal of the extended school care department. But I think if they reach out directly to that department, they could get any questions answered.
Gotcha. Just a couple questions here coming in. Just scrolling back up to look. I know, and Dr. McKenna, you can expand on this. Someone asked about bringing siblings to kindergarten orientation. As far as I understand, it's 2 adults and the student, and that's it. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, or if that's
Yes, that's always been the practice here over the years for our orientation is just adults, no younger siblings, just because obviously there's enough adults, enough people we're working with that day, and a lot of things we want to accomplish. So yes, the goal, 2 adults and the child is the expectation for that day.
Excellent. Couple questions. We always have this each year, and I know some of our teachers jumped in here. How do you handle student food allergies, whether it's in the classroom or at lunch? How does that typically get handled for a parent/student? Trying to remember, I think Carolyn, you answered this last time.
I did. So if your child has an allergy and you want to make sure everybody is aware of that. So even if you think the classroom teacher has been notified, just let them know again. Never hurts. When we have students with significant allergies, we do at times create a nut-free classroom or whatever allergen we need. That would be a case-by-case basis, and your child's teacher will reach out and let you know if that is happening in the classroom. Through the cafeteria, the school nurse, once they are notified of an allergen, they put it right into the system. It goes down to the cafeteria. When your child scans their card in the cafeteria, it actually puts up a notification directly on the screen of what the allergy is. And if they scan the tray and they see something that the child shouldn't have, they take it off. Throughout the year, I know the staff in my building were able to start memorizing it, and the ladies who were serving would say, oh, you can't have that, before they even got to the scan at the end. And we do have within the schools nut-free tables, things like that when needed. But the biggest takeaway is if your child has an allergy, tell everyone, and we will make sure that the proper things happen.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Just looking through anything else here we should hit. I know there's some questions about virtual school days, snow days, etc. But basically, you'll find out as we get closer there. We put out a whole bunch of information about inclement weather, how we do that. I don't think we need to worry about that day one, but that's coming.
And last year we didn't have any, Bob. So who knows what the situation is this year. But the only thing I wanted to add to, we didn't really go into like the home and school associations, but every school has a home and school association, very active one. And they're always looking to recruit and look for new parents who are able to volunteer their time and help out with the various events and fundraising events that are going on. So look for more information regarding that. I think it's really important, looking for as many parents can get involved with their schools is really important. So obviously there's other ways to be involved as well. I mentioned clearances and being involved in other areas, but that's definitely an area to, if a parent wants to get involved, the Homeschool Association is a great way to start.
Great. I'm just going to share my screen quickly and show a couple things here. I've closed my window a little bit. I got to open it up here. Just to kind of show where some of these pieces are. People are asking for where is kindergarten information. So if you go under for families and you scroll down to kindergarten information, it's down here under K, and you'll get to this page right here, and it gives us all the information we've posted so far. And tomorrow you'll have these presentations here. I know there were some questions on school messenger and safe arrival. Again, my biggest thing is it's okay. It's July 25th. We're going to be sending lots of information over the next couple of weeks to you to make sure you have what you need, because we want you to have this information as well. But you can download the school messenger app today. There's not going to be a ton of things you can do with it because we haven't opened schedules yet. So you won't have a whole lot of data in there. But if you want the app on your phone ahead of time, you can do that. There's also pieces in here to talk about our attendance and our attendance policies. So that's under for families attendance. This tab for you has a lot of information about the school district and a lot of questions you may have. Extended school care is under our main site. If you go to central office and extended school care, you can get all the information and contact info here. And then school lists. Here we go. Everyone's asking for the school supply list on each school site where you see select a school, you pick your school. Here's all the schools. You can come back, and then usually it's under the first tab, for families or our school, depending on the site, and your supply list will be right here. And there's a supply list. Other questions, Dr. McKenna, anybody else, anything else we'd like to share before we begin to wrap up tonight? That's a good look there, Dr. McKenna.
Yeah, I've actually just finished answering a question on the chat. No, and I think, as you mentioned, Bob, a lot of these are individually based, or some of them may be. So I think contacting their child's school can also be a great point of contact if they have any specific questions, or if it's transportation, reaching out to transportation. If they think of anything else that was covered today, curriculum wise, I know Marisa Neeson's on here as well, myself. I know Dr. Hart oversees curriculum, and if there's any specific questions regarding curriculum or elementary programming, those types of things, we just want to make sure that parents reach out, and we're happy to help out and answer any questions.
Great. I think that's about it for today. Remember, there's lots of information. We have K-Day coming up. You're going to be picking up your Chromebook. We'll be sending out notes on how to activate your Infinite Campus account so that you can be ready to find out who your teacher is. And then we have our kindergarten orientation day on August 29th. There's a lot of exciting things going. We are so excited to welcome all of you and your students, the class of 2036 to North Penn School District. It is always an exciting day and then week, and the energy. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot to absorb right now, and it feels a little overwhelming, but I'm telling you, through the process here, we're going to make sure you have what you need as we get closer to school. And as we've said all along, if you don't know, what do? Call the school. You reach out to any of us. We'll figure it out. We're going to help you out, and that's what we're here to do. So that being said, we're going to wrap up tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in with us tonight, and we appreciate our panel for providing such in-depth information for us tonight. I always like to do our Zoom wave at the end. Here it comes. We're all waving. And we're going to say thank you, everybody. You hope you have a great night, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.